My name is Mr. Sabo, and we have 4 students from AP Economics who are going to be talking about their experiences in the class. And for our first question, what sort of content will I learn in this class?
So over the course of the class, it's 2 actual full AP courses. So one's microeconomics and the other's macro. And it doesn't actually, it depends per year what order that's going to be. So in macroeconomics, you learn more things about how banks are ran or government with real GDP, money, supply, and so on and so forth. With micro, you'd learn stuff about more small business, production, marginal costs, so on and so forth.
And macroeconomics is like more concepts, I guess, than microeconomics, because so far we're only like a month into our 2nd semester, which was micro. So macro is concepts and micro is mostly just formulas and remembering how each, like all the graphs, there's a lot of graphs in both courses, and how they just function with each other and how it affects the economy.
I think that's covered pretty well, but I think my favorite part of macro was probably foreign trade and like how exchange rates are made, because I never really understood that. I mean, I know some currencies go up and down compared to others, but I didn't understand why, and so I thought that was really interesting.
Well, some of the content in this class is a lot of graphs, but you get to learn how they work and how events can shift the different curves, and that's pretty cool.
All right, for our second question, what sort of challenges have you faced while taking this class?
Well, one of the challenges is that some of the content is harder to get a grasp on, and then other things are pretty simple, and so just depends on how you think, depends on which parts are challenging for you.
For me, the hardest part of the class was definitely the beginning of the year, because micro has a whole lot of its own terms, and it's kind of like its own little like language that you don't use in everyday life. So when I first came in and Steve was like, okay, we're starting, and he does his little lecture, and I was like, you're speaking gibberish, I don't understand what you're saying. And so then I went home and read the book, and I was like, oh, that's what he was talking about in class. And then I slowly like understood it, so like now I don't have to read the book as much because I understand what he says. So that was the hardest for me.
The hardest for me was the fast pace and how much time you have to put into it, because at the beginning of the year I was so committed to this class and I was so excited that it tied in with some of my other classes, and I would take extensive notes and keep it so organized, but I just wasn't, like, I didn't get used to the fast pace enough in time, and I just started slipping out, and that affected my test grades, and I just became a little bit unorganized.
Probably one of the hardest challenges for me with this class would be the online homework. It's also known as Applia, and it really makes you go into extensive thinking. It's honestly really good for you, but in general, it is a really way past the AP exam and what you would normally expect. Along with that, just memorizing how many things through the fast pace, like what to label on a graph, all that, because about half the graphs are labeled with things that are very similar, and sometimes it's easy to get those mixed and matched.
All right, for our third question, for this class, how many hours each week should I expect to spend on reading and homework?
For me, on average, there's a wide range, but normally comes out to be 2.5 hours when it comes to reading, because there's usually about 2 chapters every 2 weeks and then a test. So there's that, and then depends also how much Applia there is that week or so.
And for me, I used to spend around 2 hours every day doing notes for each chapter, actually. Yeah, 2 hours for each chapter, because I wrote down everything, and I guess, yeah, with the online homework it would be a little bit more, and the fact that we have a flexible homework schedule, like it's due in like 2 or 3 days, it's rarely due the next day. You have some time to do it early or put it off, depends on what you have to do. And yeah, so probably around 2 or 3 hours a week.
I'd say the same as them. It kind of varies from week to week. Some weeks we'll have like 1 Apply assignment online for the week. Sometimes we'll have 2, and like you said, we get 2 days for all those. So that's really nice to kind of fit in your schedule. And then it depends how like thoroughly you want to read the book, or if you want to read it when we go over the chapter, and then how good you take notes. So it depends.
Yeah, same for me. It's about like 2.5 to 3, if there's Applia.
So for our last question, why did you take this class and did it meet your expectations?
So my brother took this class when he was in high school, and he really liked it, and he got 5s on the AP exam, and so that started my interest, and I was like, well, if he can do it, I can do it, and it has met my expectations.
For me, I actually had, when I was planning my schedule, an empty spot. I have a lot of friends that have taken it and told me how great it was, and it would meet a requirement that I needed to graduate. And did it meet my expectations? I think it really did. I expected it to be an okay class, but I really ended up enjoying it. And one thing that I really like about it is I'm taking it along with AP Gov. And so they really tend to intertwine a lot and make things make a lot more sense for both classes. So I really like the class.
And like her, I took it for the credit, and I didn't think it was going to be that hard of a class, honestly, because I was like, if sophomores can take it, I mean, I can take it. But it turns out to have a lot, like you need a good work ethic, and it's like a rigorous class with a fast pace. And I didn't expect to like it as much as I do now, because I'm also taking APUSH, AP US History, and it ties in so well with it because it talks about how the government and the economy and how like even the society works and how just the economy basically.
I originally took this class for the same reasons those two did. It was for an OCAD credit, and I took it because out of anything you could do for OCAD, this was probably the most interesting for me. It did meet my expectations and a lot more. I'm taking this along with AP Environmental Sciences, and those correlate very well because that's a half field, half political science, and to deal with a lot of the issues in that class, it goes into lots of the macroeconomics we deal with and the microeconomics based off certain markets that have to do with how things are produced and everything, how it affects the environment as well.
This class also counts as 2 AP classes, 2 AP credits.
So that's
Just
2
so you know.
tests. That's 2 tests. And yeah.
I think we're done.
Double money, double
Guess we
Thank you for your time, you guys. You guys are awesome.